The brutal pragmatist. An entirely amoral and overwhelmingly rational being. Practical efficiency, with no time for moral consideration. Rationality and rationality alone govern the pragmatist, and out of this rational dominance amorality is born. Or is it? Is the amoral pragmatist really the practitioner of the rationality that we so often pretend they are? I say that the amoral pragmatist is anything but rational. Rationality describes the logical following of premises from the basis of reason towards conclusions. The basis of reason is pain and pleasure, the inescapable forces that dominate the sentient existence, the inherent evil and the inherent good, the two sovereign masters, as Jeremy Bentham called them. Rational actors must carefully consider their own sentience. Rational actors consider their capacity for suffering before deciding on the best course of action. Such consideration necessarily leads to various rational obligations and imperatives regarding the treatment of others and consideration for their well-being. From consideration of one's ability to suffer, various rational moral obligations and imperatives are born. What is irrational if not the undermining of respect for sentience? What is irrational if not the erosion of concern for the well-being of others? What is irrational if not the corrosion of empathy and compassion? What is irrational if not the normalization of cruelty and brutality? What is irrational if not acting in a way the logical conclusion of which is one's own brutalization? What is irrational if not justifying and endorsing one's own cruel and brutal treatment at the hands of another? What is irrational if not the ushering in of a cruel and brutal society? Following from consideration of one's capacity to suffer, such things are without doubt irrationalities. And of course each of these irrationalities can be reversed to represent a rationality. Together they represent a collection of irrational moral obligations and imperatives. The idea that it is somehow rational to undermine respect for sentience, erode concern for the well-being of others, corrode empathy and compassion, normalize cruelty and brutality, justify and endorse one's own brutalization, and usher in a cruel and brutal society, is absurd. Each of these things are typically highly irrational. They are indicative of extreme irrationality. The amoral pragmatist very often is, or at least exhibits a tendency to become guilty of each and every one of these irrationalities. The worship and admiration of amoral pragmatists as supremely rational beings is entirely unfounded and unjustified, not to mention deeply dangerous. Amoral pragmatists are idiots. They are irrational idiots. The amoral pragmatist is many things, but rational is not one of them. Their complete disregard for others is irrational, not rational. The amoral pragmatist is lacking in rationality, just as much as they are lacking in moral consideration. They are lacking in rationality greatly. They are an irrational fool, someone so overcome by a deranged idea of pure, harsh rationality that they have lost sight of where rationality really leads. The amoral pragmatist is not a practitioner of admirable, albeit harsh rationality. The amoral pragmatist is a practitioner of dangerous amounts of irrationality. The threatening spectre of an incredibly rational amoral pragmatist is in truth nothing but a phantom.